evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the 701st edition of the Feuerstein American Soccer Show. I'm your host, Daniel Feuerstein. I'll give you American perspective of our clubs, leagues, players, national team, and other fabulous moments. Get your daily reading from me and other writers over at Beyond the 90, at beyondthe90.substack.com, and, of course, locally on baddogsports.com. The chat room is open on YouTube. Please come in, discuss amongst yourselves you like. If you have a question for us, we'll try to answer to the best of our abilities. And also, please subscribe if you want your American soccer daily content video form right here on the 46 American Soccer Show. Joining me tonight right now, he is the managing editor, and he is a colleague of mine for a long, long time, as we'll review the 2025 CONCACAF World Cup qualification final round for the World Cup next summer. Joining me as always from Beyond the 90, my good friend and colleague, Kartik Krishnaiyer. Kartik, as we begin to discuss this final round of qualification in our region of CONCACAF, of course, as always, North America, Central America, and the Caribbean, you can't predict who's going to qualify, can you, out of this region? Many people have said Costa Rica. Many people have said Jamaica. Many people have said Panama. And for a while, it looked like it wasn't going to be Panama until the back end of it. But then you're seeing the craziness of what this confederation can do, not just in three groups in the final round, 3 groups of 4, but the final day just came out of nowhere and chaos ensues.
Yeah, I mean, I think the key thing to really look at here, Daniel, is the underachievement, relatively speaking. I think this speaks to putting teams in groups and doing it this way. We've always had the hexagonal or the octagonal last time, which seems to protect the big teams because 4 of them are going to get out, 3 of them or 4 of them. You know, that a 4th is going to get to a playoff, right? So, and we've seen these sorts of results in CONCACAF in the sub-hex or sub-octagonal phase in the past. You know, we've seen some crazy results in the 2-leg ties. Going back to the qualifying for the 98 World Cup and the 2002 World Cup, we would get odd results. So I really enjoyed this qualifying process, this qualifying tournament, probably better than previous CONCACAF qualifying tournaments. And I think it's really significant that Haiti got out of a group with Costa Rica and Honduras in it. Nicaragua,
exactly.
Also, but with Costa Rica and Honduras, when that group was drawn, we said, my goodness, one of Costa Rica or Honduras is going to have to go to the playoff. They're not both going to qualify. As it turns out, neither made the playoff. So you got to love this sport. And Haiti qualifying is awesome. I'm sorry, I don't want to be. We try to be neutral here. But with what that country's gone through, I think it's awesome. I think it's great for football.
Absolutely. Listen, I'm rooting for Haiti too. I'm rooting for Haiti. I'm rooting for Curacao. I'm rooting for Suriname. Because why? Very simply put, because you don't see these nations regularly qualify for the World Cup. You don't see them regularly battle to the end in the Gold Cup. Sure, the Nations League is still new. It's only been, 3-4 editions right now. I like the Nations League in CONCACAF, but still.
Haiti's an interesting one because I think in the Gold Cup, their results don't match their level of play. I think I've seen them play really well in the Gold Cup and lose 3-0 in games, right? I mean, I think they maybe play better football than their results warrant. But, Daniel, what did it mean? Okay, that country is torn by political violence, gang violence. I know because obviously I'm connected to the airline industry that no U.S. airline is, the flights from JFK and from Fort Lauderdale and Miami, those are the 3 big departure points to Haiti, all been canceled for a year now. Yet, with all of that going on in the country, the only thing that could unify the people was World Cup qualification. They stormed into the streets of Port-au-Prince when they got that result against Nicaragua. Well, actually, no. Let me correct that. They stormed into the streets of Port-au-Prince when they saw the draw between Costa Rica and Honduras. They had to wait a few minutes. But that's amazing. That's what football's about. And so happy to have them. And I agree with you, Curacao. You and I, Daniel, I think we should pat ourselves on the back a little bit. You and I were talking about Curacao about 5 years ago, being a potential dark horse for 22, because we saw the talent in that squad. We'd both seen them in the Gold Cup and in Gold Cup qualifying, and really kind of began to rate them and the thing they were doing with their football there.
The one Gold Cup that Curacao was involved with back, I think either the 2017 or the 2019 CONCACAF Gold Cup.
I think it was 19.
Yep. The way they broke out in the group stage and they were able to go to the knockout stage. Now, unfortunately, they did lose to the United States in their quarterfinal matchup because the U.S., of course, is a better opponent than they are. But when you see the way they played under Vicente, because he's the one that started it. He's the head coach that started the whole chain reaction of Curacao becoming a power, becoming one of the Caribbean dark horses in the Caribbean zone. And then they tried to go for Gus Hiddink, and it just didn't work. Then they allowed Patrick Kluivert to take over. That didn't work. They brought back B. Vicente to, bring back the magic because at the time, he was an assistant coach for Canada's national team. And then they brought him back. And unfortunately, Curacao had to go into the playoffs to qualify for the Gold Cup. They won the first playoff match down at Chase Stadium in Fort Lauderdale, but lost the second match. And they fired him again. And then they bring in Dick Advocat after giving, I believe it was Kenji Gore's dad who took over on an interim basis. Then they brought in Dick Advocat, and look what he's done. I mean, that is pedigree among managers, head coaches in this worldwide game. You probably could have brought over Louis van Gaal, and he would have done the same job as well. But, you got to give credit to Dick Advocat because not only is it, it's a Dutch territory, but it's not UEFA. This is a different kettle of fish for him. Meanwhile, you have that Group C, excuse me, I shouldn't say Group C, Group B with Jamaica, and all of a sudden, who do they bring over? Steve McLaren. When have you seen at that time in the Caribbean zone two national teams with managers with the pedigree that Steve McLaren has and what Dick Advocat has? You've never seen that before. Either they go to Mexico or they go to the U.S. or they go to somewhere in the Central American zone. You don't see anyone like that in the Caribbean zone at all. And even if you do, good luck.
Yeah, I mean, Advocat, it seems like Advocat follows Hiddink, or Hiddink follows Advocat in national teams. Australia, South Korea, obviously the Netherlands, their home country, they've managed multiple times. Russia, they both managed. So there's some history there. It's funny, you said this is Beatles anthology weekend on Disney Plus. So you said Chase Stadium, which of course is down the street from us. I live in the Fort Lauderdale area. I worked at that stadium when it was known as Lockhart. And you're in the Miami Fort Lauderdale area now, Daniel. But I thought you said Shea Stadium because I'm thinking.
Oh no! So
apologies.
No.
I'm thinking a minute ago. I was thinking
you got the Beatles on your mind.
Field. And then I realized, you're talking about Shea Stadium in Fort Lauderdale. Right. You're not talking about Shea Stadium. But yeah,
no, not Shea.
So I completely agree. I think it's been tremendous job that Curacao. I have to say, it's not just they got the right coach now. But they took kind of a holistic view to football there. They went and actively recruited, and this is what sometimes you have to do if you're an island nation. Actively, at an early stage, recruited anyone with Curaçaoan ancestry.
Yeah.
Third uncle, great grandparent, and they are the smallest country by, I think, quite a distance to ever qualify for a World Cup. They used to be
smaller than Iceland. Smaller than Iceland. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. And the way, the drama of that last, I guess we have to talk about it, right? What happened at the end at the office in Kingston. Did you think it was a penalty? I did not, but I have to say I assumed that VAR wouldn't reverse it because they were in that stadium.
No, Absolutely not. No, I didn't think it was a penalty at all. Well, I will say this though, live action, I thought it could have been. But when I saw the replay, then I'm like, you know what? No, it's not a penalty at all. And it was a great job by VAR to intervene and to tell referee Ivan Barton, remove the penalty decision. It's not a penalty, and just take it off, and just keep going. Especially in second half stoppage time, which I was amazed they even called it then. And I know you see everyone in the office in Kingston at Independence Park. They're just going crazy, and all the Jamaicans, because they're thinking, oh, we're going to get ourselves a penalty. We're going to go and take the lead. And then it's disappointment again because they waved it off after VAR. We're going to show everyone all the individual groups here. Groups A, B, and C. We'll go one at a time, of course. We're going to go with Group A, the final statistics here. And as you can see, ladies and gentlemen, at the end of the day, Panama did qualify outright for the World Cup. Suriname is currently in the playoff position. You know, the resurgence that Guatemala had really disappointed me how they played in this final round of qualifying. I don't know. I don't know what Tena was doing. I don't know why his tactics weren't working. They looked really good during the Gold Cup. They looked really good before the Gold Cup in the second round of World Cup qualifying. I really thought they're going to, have a stranglehold in this group. Now, I don't know if they would have outright qualified, but at least I thought maybe the playoff, even though, honestly, I was hoping for Suriname to make some noise in this. And, they did up to a certain point. But back to Guatemala, though, Kartik. Guatemala, to me, is a disappointment.
Yeah, and Guatemala remains a country that has never not only qualified for the World Cup, but this was the first time they made the final round of qualifying CONCACAF, which seems to be very odd given the number of high-level players they have and that they've had through the years playing in Major League Soccer, playing in Liga MX, occasionally a good Guatemalan player in USL. So, this was another disappointment for them. I don't know. I don't know, because outside of a couple random good results against the United States in sub final round of qualifying, they've had a couple good results. I remember they had a good result against the U.S. In qualifying for the 2002 World Cup, a game where Ante Razov had to play up top for the U.S. They had a really good result against us. Oh, under Klinsmann, they beat us. They flat out beat us. But they had another good result against us in one of the sub-final rounds of qualifying. They really don't have – when they play other Central American countries, they don't make it. They gave Suriname – I mean, they are the reason Suriname did not win this group. So we do have to remember that. They gave Suriname two very hard matches. But when they face off with Panama and when they faced off in the past with Honduras and Costa Rica, they're El Salvador, they're just not there. They're not at the same level. It's very disappointing.
No, it's not. It's very disappointing at all. It's very, very disappointing. And of course, the last game at Guatemala, of course, against Suriname, they basically put them to the shed and just put three past them. And, that knocked them out of the qualification position, the top of the group. Then Panama, let me say this about Panama. I've given Thomas Christensen a lot of praise, not just what he's done against the U.S. men's national team, but, he is a manager that does not manage in fear. He actually manages like he wants to take you out. He wants to take you down. He wants his guys to play their style of football and put you into the ground. And I have to be fair and I have to be honest. If not for the first the first four matches, scoreless draw in Suriname, 1-1 draw, I believe, against El Salvador. They beat Guatemala. Then they draw at home to Suriname. That's the first time I have seen Thomas Christensen panicking.
Because they had to qualify. Because they had to qualify. I think
they had to qualify.
Yeah, I think basically in the past he's had credit in the bank because they played well against the United States. They played well against Mexico. They've gotten results against both of them. I think they didn't get a result. They haven't gotten a result against Canada in recent years. Oh, but they beat the U.S. in the Copa America. They've beaten Mexico in qualifying, and those are those are punching above your weight. They got out of the group in Copa America in a group that no one thought, right behind Uruguay, a group that no one thought they'd get out of. But now in this group, they are expected to win. They are the big dog. They are expected to qualify. And because CONCACAF did it this way, they're not playing Costa Rica. They're not playing El Salvador. They're not playing Honduras. They were supposed to get, in all fairness, they were supposed to get 18 points out of this group.
Yep. Yes, they were.
Thought. And they didn't. And so I think that your management changes when you're the favorite, when you're the hunted instead of the hunter. And yeah, I noticed that with Christensen, who I think very highly of. I mean, I thought highly of him when he was a manager in England, when he managed Leeds United. He's actually the manager they sacked to hire Marcelo Bielsa, for those who don't know. And I think he's maybe a better international manager than Bielsa. Uruguay is a mess right now. But
yes, they are.
Yeah, I agree with you. Christensen managed kind of scared for the first time in his tenure at Panama. Very, very surprising.
Yep. And also surprising is this. Even though El Salvador finished last in Group A, when have you ever seen them lose all 3 games at the Cuscatlan? When have you ever seen that? You've never seen them lose 3 consecutive home matches in that house of horrors. I don't care where you are in this region of CONCACAF. I do not care. If you cannot get a full 3-point win or even a draw as a visiting national team in that stadium, you will succumb to not only to the fans, but to that old stadium that will be a house of horrors to anyone that visits there as a visiting national team or even a club team in International Cup football like the CONCACAF Champions Cup. I was shocked. El Salvador, 2-1 loss to Suriname. They get blitzed in their own backyard against Guatemala. They fall to Panama, even though it was only 1 goal to Panama. It was still enough to knock them out and to just destroy their entire confidence at home.
Yeah, and look, Mexico has gone there in the sub-final round and dropped points. The U.S. we've had trouble down there, so this was surprising to see in San Salvador. I think again, you have to give Suriname credit. Yeah, and you have to. They were unable to do what they needed to do. All of these Central American countries, really. I mean, think about it. We have 1 Central American country that qualified. This was supposed to be the tournament where you would have 3 Central American countries and then maybe a 4th in the playoffs. So we have to speak about the Caribbean in a broader term. Football's getting more organized in the Caribbean. I mean, Jamaica, that they still have a shot, and they're going to have a new manager for that with Steve McLaren stepping down. But TNT were better than they've been. Curacao, we've talked about how they had a program to try and find because they can't qualify with domestic players. They have no chance. They can't qualify for a Gold Cup with domestic players, let alone a World Cup. So they had a plan. They had a strategy years ago. Antigua had a similar strategy. It hasn't come off for them, but Jamaica has been able to recruit a lot of English players. Maybe after the fact, they get them when those guys are a little older and have not been capped by England. But Haiti, look at the Haitian squad. I'm going to jump ahead here. I would not be surprised if Haiti can get a point somewhere in the World Cup. We have to see what group they're in. But I don't think it's one of these things like some of the countries like them that have qualified in the past when we said, okay, it's great they qualified, but they're going to lose all 3 matches.
Right.
I'm not sure about that with Haiti. So the point is, football in the Caribbean, and there's always been this condescension from, I mean, I don't want to get into ethnicity here and race and all that stuff. But
I don't want to get to that either. But the reality is this.
I have to say, there's been some condescension from Hispanics in this country that I work with about, Haiti, Jamaica, Curacao. These countries are not organized. They don't have the skill level. But
With the
so
right manager.
if you include the playoffs, 4 of the 5 coming out of CONCACAF are Caribbean countries.
Yep. Exactly.
Case closed.
And here's the thing too.
Caught up, and they caught up because they were organized and they haven't been arrogant. They've known they have to bridge that gap.
Yeah.
So I'm very happy for them.
No, so am I. And just to round out Group A real quick.
And again, I don't want to make it about race. So I just let me.
No, I know that. No. I know you don't. I know you don't. I know you don't. But we have to speak the truth though, because that's the situation. Unfortunately, it doesn't matter what it is. You'll always have those that will always mock the little men, the little countries, to say, they're nothing. But because the thing is this: they're on the outside looking in.
Their culture, they should be playing cricket. I've heard that from some of these people. Okay, they should be doing Usain Bolt track and field. They shouldn't be playing football. Okay, well, they just beat.
Okay, fine, whatever. Good. You know what? They're the ones with the listen. They're the ones with the egg on their face. You, I, and others who do cover CONCACAF. We know what goes on in this confederation. We watch these games, on the national level religiously. And let me also say this, and this is what no one's even saying, which, honestly, does UEFA really need their Nations League? Does UEFA really need their Nations League? They really don't. CONCACAF needed this Nations League. CONCACAF needed to help the little teams to be better, get better, and look at what's happening now. The competition, okay, great. Look, fine. It's not where Europe and South America are. No, but it's improving. And if it's improving from within, they could improve during the World Cup, because that's what it's all about. You're improving the talent within your confederation, within your region. And once you do that, you will become a bigger and better team. And that's the part that people need to get out when we talk about the little countries in football. One day, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but one day in Europe, either San Marino or Andorra, I'm not saying it's going to happen now. I'm not saying it's going to happen tomorrow. I'm not saying it's going to happen next week or next month or next year. But one day, Andorra and San Marino may become a power. It's not going to happen right away, but it could.
Actually, there was a scenario that final set of match days where San Marino could qualify for the playoffs because of their Nations League standing. So the Nations League, I think, has given small countries more competitive matches. It's done that in Europe too, with the San Marinos and the Liechtensteins and the Andorras, and it's opening up pathways, and I think it's making international football more competitive. Now, does that mean that that England should be playing a Nations League match against Liechtenstein? No. I mean, no. Or a qualifier. Actually, come to think of it, the Nations Leagues has probably been more balanced than the qualifiers in Europe. But, I mean, so what UEFA has done is that, they reserved a couple of playoff spots for Nations League. So basically there were a couple of countries so Scotland was in a position before they qualified automatically that they were going to be in the playoff regardless, because of Nations League. So there were Scots telling them, maybe we'll just tank qualifying and try and come through the playoffs. I think they're happy they didn't tank qualifying.
No, I think they're much happier now, yes.
But they were saying, qualifying is devalued. That's what some Scots were telling me. And I said, no, it actually means that the Nations League has been valued, which, so I kind of get it. Maybe CONCACAF goes that direction in the future once you have the U.S., Canada, and Mexico back in qualifying. Maybe you set aside a spot of if you have 6 spots, maybe 1 spot comes out of the Nations League. That way, maybe Aruba, maybe Antigua, maybe someone like that can qualify. Bermuda, someone could qualify in the future, like Curacao did. It'd be great. It'd be wonderful.
Exactly. And just to round out Group A real fast about Suriname, I thought first 5 matches, they played excellent. They really did a fantastic job, standing up to the big boys. They dropped a point here. They dropped a point or two here or there, especially in Panama, which ended in a 1-1 draw. It's a little unlucky there, but, that second half against Guatemala really, just made me feel so sad for them. And I was a little upset with their performance in the second half, because once they got scored on, it's like, look, you can't just hold on and beg for a 1-0 loss and you still do well and qualify, because as soon as Panama put 2 already past El Salvador, you got to find a way to fight back and not only win the match, but have the advantage on the differential, because you had a 3-goal differential advantage until you lost that 3-goal advantage. And at the time, you were giving Honduras the opportunity to make the playoff until Guatemala said, you know what, we've done enough for you. We've done enough for ourselves. We're going to help you out. And they put the ball in their own net. And that gave Suriname the +3 to put not only level with Honduras on goal differential with a +3, but because of that goal, it gave them a +9 on the goals scored. That's why Suriname advanced to the playoff.
So the Honduras Costa Rica match, it really bothered me. Although I was wanting Haiti to get in, so I didn't bother me. The result didn't bother me, but I think the thing that bothered me was the way both sides approached it. I think there were 2 teams that were expecting to qualify, and because they were expecting to qualify, they both played very negatively when they faced each other in that last match, and they were counting on Haiti to lose.
Exactly.
And, it didn't go that way.
No, it didn't. And you know what, though?
Costa Rica, they still would have needed to score a goal.
They had to score a goal.
Then they
had to win.
At the end, it was bad.
They had to win, Kartik. Listen, if Costa Rica scored a goal, that would have given them 9 points. And then you force Haiti to do something stupid. Because at the time, Haiti had 8. Haiti, before the final game on November the 18th, Haiti had 8. Honduras had 8 points. Haiti had 8 points. But Honduras had the first position. Costa Rica was in 3rd place with 6. And then you get the 0-0 draw with Honduras.
Just from a historical position, this is really unprecedented, because Costa Rica has qualified for every World Cup since 2002, with one exception, which was 2010, when they lost. When they ended up in a playoff because Jonathan Bornstein got 2 late goals for the U.S. At RFK, and then they went to the playoff. And quite frankly, no one remembers this. Uruguay ends up finishing 3rd place in that World Cup, and Suarez sticks his hand out, and they beat Ghana because of that. They never should have been in that World Cup, because Costa Rica got screwed in the playoff by some terrible officiating. So they actually, over 2 legs, outplayed Uruguay. So to me, they basically qualified for that World Cup. So this is unprecedented. This is their worst performance in qualifying, I think, since '86, actually. And
it is.
And obviously not going for the first time since 2010, but really worst qualifying campaign since in 40 years. So
exactly,
it's stunning. So I mean, if Haiti had gotten there and Costa Rica was the one that had pushed them, okay, but it wasn't. It was Honduras ultimately that had the chance to qualify instead of Haiti, because of how poorly Costa Rica approached this whole tournament, this whole qualifying period.
Yeah. No, it really was. And you know what? Look, Honduras has nobody to blame but themselves. Costa Rica has nobody to blame but themselves. I have to say, this was the worst final round of qualification for Costa Rica I've ever seen in my life. They have Ugalde, Alonso Martinez. I know he got hurt in the first match in November of this month. I know he got hurt in the first game on Thursday. He's still out. He's not playing with New York City FC in the playoffs. It sounds like it's they still haven't said what type of knee injury it is, NYCFC, but the truth is, I think he's really bad. I think I don't want to speculate on here, but obviously I think Alonso Martinez, I think he might be done for the rest of the season right now. I think he might be done, but that's just, like I said, I'm not going to speculate what type of knee injury it is, but I think it's really bad. Other than that, they didn't have him. They had Ugalde. They had all these great players that was in that Gold Cup run, and they fell in the semifinals to the United States. I think it was the semifinals. Yeah, it was the semifinal. No, to the quarterfinals to the U.S. In that Gold Cup. But still, though, what is Miguel Herrera doing? What was he doing on that national team as their head coach? I shake my head in disbelief. This is a man who brought Mexico out of the brink of possibly not qualifying for a World Cup and gets them through their playoff, their intercontinental playoff against New Zealand.
Yeah.
It goes on a run.
Right. I mean, well, I was going to say maybe we should have just not scored those 2 goals against Panama and let Panama in that time instead of them. But I still kind of feel that way, honestly. I mean, I don't know what when Johansson scored the goal, I was screaming like, "What are you doing?" I don't cheer against my own country normally, but that was one occasion. I was like, what are you doing? Put the ball in the other net. Let's eliminate Mexico. But then Herrera gets them through that playoff, and then they do well in the World Cup. Remember, in 2014, they gave Brazil all they could handle, the host country.
Yes.
They advanced ahead of Croatia. We know what Croatia's done in Euros and World Cups since then, how strong Croatia's been. So Miguel Herrera may be a tournament coach, but maybe not the guy for qualifying. And obviously, he was the last guy in qualifying. Mexico went through 4 coaches during that qualifying period for 2014. But
yes, they did.
Yeah, this was poor. And look, Haiti's got a situation where they've had to play their home matches in Curacao, but Haiti has so many good players playing abroad. Many of whom are since I cover USL, that's my main beat. I've seen a lot of these guys. I see a lot of these guys at the club level. I see them in person. And I'm very happy for them. I'm really happy for Rubens Passius. And you look at Duke Lacroix. I mean, he's to me, one of my favorite kind of versatile players in USL. Obviously won the championship last year with Colorado Springs. He went to full 90 and really got it out in that match. I mean, I could tell he was gassed. He's coming through a long USL season, long qualifying campaign with Haiti. He's played a lot of football. And the other guys from USL, I mean, I wrote an article about it at Beyond the 90. I mean, what Haiti did is just it's special. It's one for the ages. I know everybody feels good about all 40 countries in the past 32 countries that qualified, but this one is extra special. Haiti qualifying this time is extra special. It's one of the best I've seen. Best qualifying campaign with the most adversity.
It really is. And you know what? Give credit to everyone from Haiti who played. It's not just the whole political issues that are going on in the country, but they couldn't play a home game on their island. They had to go play in Curacao and Willemstad at the National Stadium for Curacao. You know, that's even more special if you think about it. You know, haven't qualified for the World Cup since 1974, when at the time it was West Germany and East Germany, the Berlin Wall. Most of you probably don't know about that, but this was after, half of Germany was under freedom.
In 74, but that's the last time. Well, CONCACAF only got one team in then, so they won CONCACAF. But that was the last time they really had a good team. I mean, they've had and we knew this. So basically, I think you and I talked about it privately, Daniel. We knew this time Haiti had a really good team. They got guys playing in the Premier League. They got guys playing in Liga. They got guys playing in MLS. They got guys playing in USL. And then all this political trouble happened, and we're like, oh, shoot. We thought this was the time they could qualify. There's no way now. They're not even going to be able to play home games. They're not even going to be able to train on the island. It's over. Exactly. In that adversity, sometimes guys pull together. I can't stress this enough for people who maybe didn't follow the qualifying or know the situation in Haiti. This is, I don't know. We have to go historically, like look at countries that have been probably qualified for World Cups historically, but this has got to be in the top 5, given the circumstances. I'm not saying looking at the squad. Looking at the squad, we know they're very good. We know they're one of the better squads in CONCACAF, but given everything around it, impossible to qualify, and they did. No, exactly. And you know what? Once again, even through the early rounds of qualification, we're seeing battles like we've never seen before, through the Caribbean nations and the other Central American nations. Dominican Republic, I mean, they were 3-0 in the Gold Cup this past summer, but still, though, what a job they did in the group stage of the Nations League in League B. They swept their group. Another Caribbean country that has a plan and is coming. Yeah, exactly. They have a plan. And this is where you want to see these teams really hone their prowess, not just in the Nations League, and then they go to the Gold Cup, but when the big matches come up, like World Cup qualifying does, I mean, we could have seen
probably if some of the regulars weren't in this qualification final round, we could have had maybe 2 or 3 different nations. And now, and of course, quickly Group B. I mean, obviously, it was a 2-team race. Bermuda, look, I give Bermuda a lot of credit. I thought they may throw a monkey wrench here or there, but in reality, they were overmatched by Curacao, by Jamaica, by Trinidad. Unfortunately, they were the whipping boys in this team. I was hoping for Bermuda to really give a dent somewhere. They almost did against Curacao. They came back from the 2-0 deficit, but then again, that third goal by Curacao killed them to make it 3-2. And
that almost changed the whole thing, though, because Curacao was looking ahead to the match against Jamaica at the office.
They were.
And they were up 2-0, and they took their foot off the gas. And at the same time, Jamaica was up 1-0 on Trinidad.
Yeah.
Remember, simultaneously. So we're talking about for those out there, we're talking about the match day before this same window, but the Friday before the decisive Tuesday that we spent so much time talking about. And I thought at that point, excuse my language, Curacao is bottling it. And Jamaica is going to go through the game. They're just going to need a draw at the office. And then things reversed, right? They got the third goal. Trinidad scored. And then it was Jamaica's response was not adequate after Trinidad scored. I felt like maybe Trinidad would get another goal and really put Jamaica under the cosh. But Bermuda played hard. I mean, I give them a lot of credit. One of my favorite all-time footballers, I think you know this, Daniel, some of our listeners may not know this, Sean Goater, Manchester City legend, the GOAT, Feed the GOAT. He's Bermudian. And has had such the best player ever from that country. So I have a lot of sentiment for them.
Of course.
And I think and he's actually from Bermuda. Bermuda and a lot of these islands have a lot of Canadian players that they that don't get capped for Canada, that they end up using in their national team. But in the case of Sean Goater, he's actually from Bermuda. But yeah, I Curacao qualifying is awesome. I think it's deserved because of the plan they've had. It's a shame for Jamaica. We have to see how Jamaica does in the playoff. They have a good enough squad. They've got a pathway with New Caledonia and DR Congo. DR Congo is New Caledonia. They'll beat. I'm pretty confident.
They'll beat. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think they'll just take them to
a good squad and has some really high end players. But I think Jamaica actually has more depth in their squad. And whoever the new manager is, if they organize that team properly for that one-off match, which is going to be, I believe, in Guadalajara, maybe in Monterrey. I think it's Mexico. They can qualify. I think they have a better shot than Suriname. Suriname has got a tough ask with
Bolivia, absolutely. But you know what, though? People have said, but this is what I've heard, obviously, from Nico Cantor from CBS Sports Golazo Network. He says Bolivia is not what they are when they are away from La Paz.
But they're not in altitude. Yeah.
They're extreme altitude. They are nothing when they get to a lower level. Now, I think Guadalajara is not that much of altitude, but in Monterrey there is some altitude, but it's not the level where Bolivia.
It's not like La Paz. No,
it's definitely not like La Paz at all.
Someone said that to me this morning, a South American. I said, I want Suriname to qualify, but they got a tough one. And this person told me the same thing. He's an executive at a club in this country, but he's from South America. He said, no, Bolivia, you get them away from La Paz. He thinks Suriname can beat them. He doesn't say they will, but he says he thinks they can.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. I think we're going to get a game. I really think Suriname is going to do here's what Suriname really needs to do. Suriname has to not bunker in. They have to attack, and just score as many goals as possible, because you can't – you got to play all the way and get goals, because there's no tomorrow. It's either win and play Iraq or get eaten up and go home.
Yeah.
Because this is what I'm hoping for. It's not just that the Netherlands have qualified, because we all know the Netherlands are always going to qualify at all. And by the way, I don't know if I said this to you or not, Roy McKay, the former Dutch international who works at Bayern Munich after playing for them in their academy. I said to him at SoccerX, what if you had not only the Netherlands qualifying, Curacao qualifying, and Suriname qualifying. 3 Dutch nations qualifying. Could you imagine that? What a record that would be. 2 former Dutch colonies that are now independent.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
It is, and I think it's great for the Dutch speaking world already. Curacao is already there; they're already in. So,
Yep.
This is fantastic, and this also gives more opportunity for Dutch coaches, etc. So, yeah, it's going to be fun, those playoffs. But this congratulations to Haiti, congratulations to Curacao, of course, congratulations to Thomas Christensen in Panama. We expected them to be there. However, it went. It was a little atypical for Christensen. We talked about in the way he manages, but they made it. They made it. So,
yep.
And now Jamaica's gotta. I think Jamaica's got to qualify. Suriname, they're playing with house money. If they lose to Bolivia, they lose to Bolivia. I hope they make it. But Jamaica, I think, has got to. Yeah, and I think the path for Suriname is much tougher. Bolivia is still
I agree.
Stronger than New Caledonia and DR Congo, and then Iraq is going to be really tough to beat in the final. So Suriname's got a really hard path, but Jamaica does not. Jamaica's got to get the manager appointment right. They got to get on the same page. They got to get together and say, we have 2 games, 1 week. Let's do it.
Exactly. That's what they got to do. Because Jamaica right now, let's put it this way. Reputation is on the line for Jamaica. Suriname, not so much reputation, but hopes and dreams are on the line for Suriname. You knock off Bolivia, you have a puncher's chance against Iraq. That's the truth.
Yep. Absolutely.
They have to do. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, great conversation here with Kartik Krishnaiyer and CONCACAF. And as I've said already, CONCACAF has to give themselves a pat on the back, because if not for the Nations League, these minnow islands don't get this level of international competition to put them in the high pecking order of other competitions within the Confederation for the Gold Cup, and at the same time for qualifying for the World Cup.
Yeah. No, it is CONCACAF's vision, the Nations League, kind of the more professional setup in the Confederation, in the Confederation office, putting football first over corruption and things like that have really helped. So, yeah, it was a great qualifying campaign, and best of luck to and I know we're going to be talking about it as we get to March, toward March, we're not going to wait till March. Jamaica in particular, they got to qualify. And there's some things that need to be done. Maybe this is a Beyond the 90 article or 2. There's some things that need to be done between now and November and March, because Jamaica's got to qualify.
Oh, yes.
With the squad they have, they should qualify.
They have to. They should qualify. But I will say this, though, too. Next Friday, of course, we're on Black Friday currently still, but next Friday, Kartik, is the final round, the final draw for the World Cup finals here in the United States, north of us in Canada, south of us in Mexico. The draw will be at noon Eastern time on Fox Sports English language, NBC's Telemundo Spanish language, whichever one you want to watch, or if you want to go online, foxsports.com or the Peacock app and or website for next Friday, December the 5th. I have been waiting with bated breath for this. Panama is in the second pot, while are they in the snow? I think they're in the third pot. I have to double check, but I know that Curacao and Haiti are in the fourth pot with the European playoff winners and the whoever wins the 2 intercontinental playoffs. Of course,
the U.S., Mexico, and Canada are all in pot 1. Whether that's, they're the host countries, so that's why I don't think any of them would be pot 1 normally. But yeah.
Yep. Mexico already designated for 1A, Canada already designated for 1B, the United States already designated for 1D. They just jumped them over to the next group, which is fine by me. We can't have them go every single day. knock them out. We got to get a little bit of
I actually thought they
variety.
were 1A Mexico, 1C Canada, 1E. Of U.S., but they didn't do that, right? I thought they would stagger them more. That's okay, whatever.
It's fine. It's okay. No problem at all. But other than that, Kartik, you have any final thoughts about after seeing all of this and talking about all of this? Who's ready? Who's ready to go, man? Who's ready?
Yeah, I'm ready to see Haiti in a World Cup. I'm excited about. Oh, Curacao too, but Haiti, like I said, the accomplishment given the circumstances and knowing they had a good squad, knowing they had a squad that could qualify, and then the adversity and thinking, oh gosh, this had to happen. The gang wars and the political thing and the violence, it had to happen the year Haiti could qualify. Oh gosh, that's terrible for these players, but they pulled together and they did it, and they did it in the hardest group. Because we're talking about the level of accomplishment. They did it in a group with two countries that we thought were unlucky to be drawn together and should have been separated because they were both going to qualify. So,
exactly.
Yeah, Haiti, that's my takeaway. Unbelievable.
Yep, me too. Well, actually, I'm hoping for Curacao to do well as well.
Me too.
Haiti, we'll see what they do, which I agree with you. Haiti's going to be exciting. I want to see what Curacao can do, and I really want to see what Curacao, what surprises they could have in store during the World Cup when it comes next summer, this coming June. Everyone, of course, don't forget, read our articles over at Beyond the 90 at beyondthe90.substack.com. More local stuff from me in New York soccer at baddogsports.com. Don't forget.
I should mention also real quickly, Daniel, beyondthe90.net also works. That redirect you to the Substack site. So, yeah.
Okay, great. So, beyondthe90.net. So, go there as well. That'll work as well. So, once again, thank you, everyone, for joining us. Don't forget to watch more or to catch up on my 485 American Soccer shows. Go to the subscribe button below and go ahead and take a look. And I hope you enjoyed all the content you want for not only American soccer, the CONCACAF soccer, as well as World Cup qualifying and the entire World Cup itself. Join me next week reviewing the conference finals in the East and the West of the 2025 MLS Cup playoffs, and going to review the USL Championship final between the Pittsburgh Riverhounds and the FC Tulsa. That was a hell of a final. And don't worry, folks. You want more of what's going on with the whole USL player union and league situation? This man right here, Kartik Krishnaiyer. Go to Beyond the 90. Yep. Go ahead and check out his video chat. I'll have my two thoughts on it as well on Beyond the 90 because
there's more coming too.
Said, yeah.
Your stuff, Alex Ashton's working on a piece, and I'll have more. So, yeah.
Exactly. Once again, for Kartik Krishnaiyer, I'm Daniel Feuerstein. Thank you very much for watching us tonight here. And as always, please, 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 please enjoy your football. Thank you. Take care. So long. And bye-bye for now. Have a good night, everybody.